Welcome to EDC Journeys. If this is your first time, consider subscribing. If you like the video, hit that thumbs up, hit the notification bell so you don't miss anything. I should mention this video is more or less just me talking thoughts of future videos and a little bit of sharpening in the end. Future content to come. Took a lazy day today, and I will see you all tomorrow. What's going on, EDC people, and what's our journey today? Well, not too much. Actually, I'm only posting a preview video really for today. I'm doing some sharpening and taking the day kind of easy. I wanted to show you a couple of future thoughts I have. I have future video ideas. First of all, I want to talk about Spyderco, and I want to do it in a way such that I show you kind of the journey. You can see I put these here because I'm sharpening. I thought it'd be cool. Anyways, you know, where you start with Spyderco, kind of on your journey. If you know where somebody would start with Spyderco financially, the budget Spydercos, if you will, the efficient, the tenacious. Moving on to like maybe a pair of 3 in a Mannix, and I know that's not a real Mannix, but let's just pretend it is. The differences between them, the differences between the steels, the blade shapes, the why, so in other words, what's the gateway into Spyderco, and where do you go from there, and why do people go from an entry-level Spyderco to a very, well, I call it very expensive, but to an over $100 Spyderco, or in some cases over $200, $300, $400 Spyderco. Okay, so that's my Spyderco collection that I have here currently, and I want to talk about all of them. So we're going to do a Spyderco day, and then if I pan to the right a little bit, you'll still see some of the Spydercos, but you see that Ganzo setup. And we're going to do the same thing with that. We're going to go, and there's not really an entry area for Ganzo because they're all entry. Let me zoom in on them a little bit here. Right? There's no, they're all fairly budget friendly. But what about the steels, What about the blade shapes? Which one's for you? Do you want the carbon fiber? Do you want the stainless steel? Do you want the liner lock? Do you want the D2? What about 440C versus 8CR? What? And I'll say the same right back over here. And the same applies for these other knives here, what, I know I don't have any in there right now. That would have been better if there was more loaded, but they're mostly out. When I said in a different video I would take 440C over D2. Well, how do people know that? Isn't D2 better? What about the 3CR knife that I did the other day? 3CR 13 MOV, I think it was. In that thing, I hacked down a tree this big around and then sharpened it right back up. Or I sawed through the limbs of the tree. What about that compared to a 5CR 15 MOV, like this? This is the CRKT Minimalist, right? This is 5CR 15 MOV. What's the difference between 5CR and 3CR? What's the difference between 3CR, 5CR, and 8CR? What's the difference between that and D2, or 440, or 440A? What's 440A versus 440C? Now, I get that there's channels out there that do all these tests, right? And you can check out their channels. They're going to give you the scientific answers, and they're going to give you the lowdown on all that, on which steel cuts the best and the longest, and but I'm taking into consideration price as a beginner and sharpening as a beginner. It's a hell of a lot easier to sharpen. Let's go over to these for a second. It's a hell of a lot easier to sharpen an 8CR like these two are. These both are 8CR 13 MOV, right? Let me just double check before I tell you something I'm lying about here. 8CR, 13 MOV, yes. And I know that Tenacious is as well. And I know that there's all different kinds of models where you can get, you know, a pair of 3 in Maximate. You could get this pair of 3 is S30V. For me, that's, I believe, the premium quality, the top steel I have, I believe, is the S30V. So, you know, how does it compare? Why would you buy the pair of 3 in S30V and not upgrade to the S90V or the S110V or the Maximate or the Rex 45? Well, there's only so much comparison I can do on this channel as far as the way I do it, because I don't have Maximate and Rex 45 handy. But what I can do is show you the entry-level stuff, the stuff that I'm here to show you anyways. You know, I don't have that K Tactical 3CR, but, you know, it was impressive what a 3CR did and how fast it sharpened back up, and how the S30V, how great it is, but how fast it doesn't sharpen. I did a whole video on it that I think was over an hour long. Now it is whittling sharp, but you have to take that into consideration. If that's your first knife right there, it's going to be hard to learn to sharpen. If this is your first knife right here, any of these two, you're going to have a much better time. Same applies for the Minimalist in 5CR. Same applies for the K Tactical ball bearing folding knife. Please make a better name for that K Tactical, by the way. And I still want the Katana, I'm just saying. But in 440A and 440C, you know, we see all these terrible things about 440 and 8CR, but really, is it that terrible? What about D2? American D2 versus Chinese D2 and fake D2, you know, the things that aren't really D2 to begin with. We've got knives like this. Oops, sorry about that. Knives like this. I'm trying to... Yeah, the FH51, that's in D2, right? D2 tool steel. Now, that's important to know, tool steel. Now, D2 is hard, 60 or so HRC usually, if heat treated right. That's a whole other topic. So, is D2 a better steel than 8CR, 440, S30V? How do you know these things without researching them, right? How do you know which knife is for you? The yeah, that one's D2 as well. A lot of things are, especially from China, are coming in D2 now because that was the rage. But I mentioned I would take 440C. Focus. I don't know if it's just me or it's not focusing. I would take 440C over D2. It's something I said once. I want to show you why. Okay, but what about 440C versus 8CR? What about 8CR versus, oh, here's one. Hang on. I'm knocking everything over here. I'm gonna have to edit this part out, that's for sure. Oh, and I technically, I guess, lied when I said the S30V was the finest steel I have, because I just remembered, since I stopped carrying it so much, because everyone told me I was obsessing on it, the Banter in S35VN technically is an upgrade from S30V as far as the records are concerned. Right? Also, the Elementum, this version, this copy of it is, not copy, this model of it, how do I get this to focus? Well, you're just gonna have to trust me, I guess. It says S35VN, so technically, again, that's an upgrade over the S30V, so I guess I made a mistake when I said that, but the point is, how do you know if you want to buy the S35VN over the S30V? over the 5CR. Well, okay, I mean that's an extreme example, but you get the idea here, right? What about AUS 8 compared to AUS 10A? Now, I have a lot of experience with AUS 10A. This happens to be the only pocket knife I have with AUS 10, or folding knife I have with AUS 10A. But you know, what's the difference between 8CR or AUS 8? What about AUS 8 versus AUS 10? Why, you know, what about AUS 6? Oh, now that one I'll tell you is not so good. But you got to know something. You can't just go into this blindly. You got to know what kind of, it's about blade shape. It's about price. You know, what can you afford? Is it comfortable in your hand? What kind of blade shape? What are you cutting? What is it that you want? Is it just an everyday carry? Do you have a specific work task that you do? And then it's about the steel, because that makes the price a huge difference. Because I can tell you, for example, well, I'll tell you, down here, you like how I make a noise every time I move the camera? The Elementum in D2 is 50 bucks, roughly. In S35VN, it was closer to 100. Almost around double the price. Now it's my Carta too, and that doesn't hurt, but I'm just saying. You know, so at what point, you know, the Para 3 up there in S30V, that version, the blacked out version, I think it's like 140, 150 bucks or so, somewhere around there. I have no idea what the Maximate version is, because I don't even bother looking at it. I can't afford it. But I know it's going to be more than 130, 140 bucks. So what do you want that steel for? And then what happens is people say, I want the best there is, right? So you get Rex 45, or I mean, I don't even know all the steels. Like I just said, Maximate, and it stays sharp for a long time, and it's great, right? But then what happens when it's not anymore? Are you going to be able to sharpen it up, or are you going to send it to someone to sharpen and pay for it? Or are you just going to have a knife that you paid a lot of money for, a tool that you paid a lot of money for, that is dull? So that's kind of what I want to go through. Somehow I'm going to make this a video. I have to figure out, I have to work with my producer, my 10-year-old daughter Mary, on how I'm going to put this together somehow and make it work as a cohesive video. But I just wanted to give you a preview so I could put up a video for today, because I'd like to put up at least one a day. That's kind of what's happening around here, guys, okay? Now, weather-wise, we are not going to be outside much longer. I am telling you, this is coming on one of the last nice days here in Vermont. Snow is coming, believe it or not. It's gonna come, and at that point, I will be in my studio inside, which is a sunroom, and I hope it works out really well. But we'll get there in another story. This is just a chat time, a wee chat. What other steels do I have here that I get? Oh, what about, what is it? 18C, oh gosh, now I can't even remember them all. Something 14C28N, I think it is, right? What about that one? It's not a simple thing to just go, you know, so you have a person, you have the guy that goes to, or girl that goes to the store and grabs what's on the shelf because they just needed a knife, period, they need a knife. And they get the Gerber or the CRKT or the Ozark Trail. That's a whole nother story. Or whatever. And they buy it. And that's it. That's what they needed, is just a knife. And fine, that's great. But what about the person who wants to step into the knife world a little bit, right? Or go on that journey? It gets a little more important then, because there's huge differences. There's huge differences in blade shapes, blade steels, blade ergonomics, you know, and that's the stuff that I want to talk about in one of my next videos. Somehow I'm gonna, it might have to be a multi-part series. I'm getting too specific here, but I hope that you guys might enjoy. I wonder if I can get both of these if I go up. I know you can see my shadow now because I waited so long to do this video, but that's not working out so great, but whatever. I love these props my neighbor made me. Anyways, yeah, you know, so what about that? And then, hey, what about something like a what is it? I can't even remember the steel. This is not technically a buck, I don't believe, but they do, what is it, a 420 HC? You know, so there's all these different types of steels in all these different blade shapes. And if you're not the person that's just going in to grab one off the shelf because you need a knife and that's that and you don't really care, then those are the things that matter. And those are the things that we're going to talk about. Price compared to blade shape, compared to blade steel, compared to comfort. All while considering the use. Those 5 things. Okay? Yeah. What's your highest end steel? Let me know down below. What's the highest end steel you have? I suppose some people argue S30V and S35VN aren't, well, whatever. Technically on the books, S35VN is now my top of the line steel. What's your top of the line? I'm just curious. What do you think about sharpening, that kind of stuff? You know, sharpening S35VN versus S30. What you know, do you think about that when you buy a knife? Do you you know, is it going to be hard to sharpen L-Max or 3V, 4V, or do you not care about that? You just want the latest and greatest. That's all. That's kind of where I'm going with it. Anyways, I'm rambling on now. It's over 15 minutes. You can see I'm sharpening over here on my big messy setup. My father carried a buck, or it's actually an Uncle Henry version, but he carried a buck 110 nearly his whole life, and it's broken. I can't remember what's wrong with the spring or something. It's busted. It's junk. And my neighbor who made these logs, he came by yesterday, and I had given him a knife just because I had an extra copy of one. Nothing special. And it's something that I like to do. I love putting new knives into people's hands. And he pulled this out of his pocket and handed it to me. And now it's not labeled as a buck 110. It's labeled as a Cutmaster stainless steel. I have no idea. I have no clue if that's just something, but it certainly looks like a thinner version of a buck 110. And I was trying to hide it from my dad to sharpen it up, and I was going to sharpen it up and clean it up and give it to him, because it had some, like, the, you know, that patina on the brass and stuff, and I was going to clean it up and give it to him. Well, I fell asleep sharpening it on the couch last night. I actually was sharpening and I dozed off, and he came out and found me. I live with him and take care. Well, that's a whole other story. He came out and found me holding it, and so he thought, he looks at it and he thought I was like holding out on him, not showing him one of my latest knives, when really it was supposed to be a surprise for him. And so he found it, he cleaned it all up, he spent all day putting like what is it, Amish milk cream or something on whatever that stuff is for wood, and really buffing the brass, and getting all the, you know, the marks out of the steel. And I'm gonna spend the rest of my evening sharpening this up for him, nice and sharp, and that's my game plan for today. Look at the difference. This is what the one he did carry. This is the one that I got. This is the one that I believe is pretty much an exact copy of a buck 110, despite being an Uncle Henry Schrade. Okay. I actually like this one better, the newer one. Now, I don't care for that little, like, stand-up point as much. I just noticed that now that I'm looking at them both in the same way. But besides that, I like the thinner handle. Anyways, whatever. I'm going on now about nothing. That's all. There are channels out there that'll teach you about steel to the point of being a scientist. Outpost 76, Super Steel Steve, all those guys. I don't even know them all to name them all. They're all great. You should go if you're really interested into like the real specifics of that and how, you know, how much can this cut versus this cut. Go to see those guys, Outpost 76 and them. If you are just want a basic overview where you can kind of get a good idea of those 5 things I just talked about, come see me tomorrow. We're gonna do a video. It might be multi-part. Wednesday, I have another interview with my special guest, my daughter. That's set up for Wednesday. Can't wait to do that. That's going to be exciting. It's going to be hilarious. And we are not bringing out that Ozark Trail knife because I'm not letting her have that as a choice. Period. No matter what. You can. Oh my God! You can see my shadow. I'm waving my hands. I'm very animated. All right. So, what do you guys think? Should I do all the Ganzo separately and the Spyderco separately? Or should I just combine it all and do it all in one big thing with those 5 standards? The price, blade shape, blade steel, comfort. Crap, I forgot the 5th thing. I'll have to go back and look. Alright guys, I'll talk to you later. Have a great day. I just wanted to add really quickly, as I'm taking down my setup and going back to sharpening, another topic is the deployment, such as thumb stud. You know, this knife here is thumb stud deployment, no flipper tab. This knife here is, well, everyone knows it as an axis lock. It's a G lock for Ganzo, but you know, you can deploy with the hole, or you can deploy with the axis lock. I'm trying to do it around the camera as always. What about a lock back? You know, where does that fall into play? What is that good for, and is it the one that you want? What about a slip joint that has no lock? It has stops, and it's just more of a traditional knife. Or a flipper, right? Now that's deployment. Then there's also retraction, like I was saying, the lock back. This is the wrong one. The lock back, that was the broken one. The lock back, you know, to put it in, you have to push the lock on the back. Kind of self-explanatory. The liner lock, you push the liner over. The G lock, the axis lock, you pull down on the lock bar. You know, my point in all this is, you know, like when I was talking to my neighbor yesterday, he was mentioning he has nerve damage in his hand and his whole arm, I think. And so he was showing me his, I think it was a Gerber, and he loves it because of he has a hard time. I can't remember which one now. He had a hard time with something. I think it was a flipper because of the nerve damage in his hand. But he could do something like this, where he could roll it out with his thumb, or a certain thumb studs, especially one like this. Okay, you know, and then but also take into consideration he could do the deployment, but the liner lock was tough for him. So there's a lot of things to consider. It's very hard. So this is almost surely going to be a multi-part video or series, but we've got to go over the 5 things I mentioned that I'll remember before we start the 5 videos. I mean, not the 5 videos, the 5 before we start the next video. All right, that was it. Just wanted to add that on. Talk to you later, guys. Still waiting on a couple of knives to come in. Can't wait. Another traditional is coming soon. Talk to you later. Have a great evening. What's going on, EDC people? I'm not sure if I'll add this to my last little update video that was like 15 minutes or make a whole new video for it, but I'm partway through sharpening this knife for my dad that I introduced in the video that I uploaded just before this, or should have. And I figured it's not at the beginning, but why not show it? This is a DMT 600 grit diamond stone. It is technically a piece of junk. I really am not a fan of the honeycomb pattern. People say that it's so that the particles and grit can get in and get out of the way. Regardless, it's just less diamonds. It's less, you know, if you have a continuous diamond stone, like you'll see on most other sharpening channels, you're gonna get much better results. Now DMT, I've heard lately, has been questionable. They used to be, you know, the cream of the crop as far as diamond stones go. Well, at least they were one of the creams of the crop. However, I've heard that their quality has really been questionable. Their quality control, meaning that there's been, you know, and they're expensive, continuous diamond stones that are warped, that are literally have a bow in them, or that they lose their diamonds very fast. This stone here, I believe, I don't even believe it's a 600 grit anymore. I don't know what it is at this point. This is one of the stones I tried when I first started sharpening, and I know I applied way too much pressure. I had no idea what I was doing, and with diamonds especially, you want to let them do the work. It's just the weight of the knife in your hand, basically. But I still use it because it cuts. I kind of assume it's just finer than 600 at this point. I don't know. I'm really looking. You may, if you follow me on Instagram, you saw that I'm looking to find somebody who wants to do a trade. I would love to have a set of continuous diamond stones, be them new or used, but if they're used, obviously I would like them to be in working condition. So lightly used, I suppose, would be the thing to say. And I posted a picture of the set that Jared from Neve's Knives recommends. It's like 48 bucks on eBay, not eBay, Amazon. You know, and I'd be willing to trade somebody. I have plenty of other stones. I have Japanese stones. I have Spyderco stones. I have soaking stones. I have some natural stones. All kinds of things, or knives, that I would be willing to trade somebody who has a good set of continuous diamonds they're trying to get rid of. So if that's you, contact me directly. The best way would be to DM me on Instagram if you have it, EDC_journeys, or email edcjourneys@gmail.com. We'll talk. You know, I still haven't pulled that hard Washita down from what I'll say is the market. I posted it on YouTube and a few other places, you know, and I think when people realize the quality of it and therefore the value of it, they are a little bit shocked, and so they're turned off by it. You know, I don't think it's out of bounds, the number that I'm looking for. It's been all but physically touched and authenticated by Dan's whetstone. It's been same, I guess I could say, for Rough Rooster knife sharpening. He talked with me on the phone and went through all kinds of you know, different ways to test and verify if it's hard versus soft, and if it's a true Washita, or however you say it, Washita. You know, and Dan's talked about the pike mine, and if it came out of that mine versus, you know, which is a closed mine, meaning that you can't get it anymore. So it's a top of the line grade, vintage, barely, you know, very good condition. You're going to see it in a second here. Hard Washita stone that I'm considering now at this point selling. I was trying to sell it desperately because I was really trying to get a knife off of somebody, and I needed the cash fast to offer to them, but that deal has come and gone. So my interest in selling it has gone down. However, if there's a genuine person out there who genuinely understands what it is and wants to make me an offer, get in touch with me. It is an extremely high quality hard Washita stone. It has translucency. has the translucent spots, as well as like an 1/8 or so of an inch of full translucency across the whole body face of it. I'll show you the stone in a minute. I've already done a video on it. You probably saw it. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Now you're joining me at a point here where I've already gone through the coarsest stones. I've already formed a burr on both sides and removed it. I am now going back and forth just to continually fix that edge. Let me clean this off as best I can and show you, if possible. Oh man, this is so hard. It's hard for, let me, oh, I always forget I can zoom. Now, I don't know if you could see much of my bevel, you know, as far as the grain or the pattern yet. Can I zoom in more? Yeah, that's a little better. Boy, I gotta hold it really still. But that's about what I'm getting right now. So you can tell that it's still a toothy edge, even at the supposed 600 grit, and that's all fuzz from the stupid thing that I just wiped it with. And the other side, again, ignore the fuzz. But yeah, see, I do have them going in the direction I want them to go in, so that they bite right into material. But I've got to, what I'm doing now is just honing it down further and further and further, so that it's nice and smooth, or as smooth as I would like it to be for this particular knife. And I can tell you that the hard Washita will be the stone that I end at, probably. And I'll strop, of course. Lately, that's been my ending stone. You know, I haven't even had it long. It was a shit luck find that I got that stone. It was a mess. It had to be degreased. No one knew what it was, including me. I got it for a real good price, and then when I found out exactly what it was, you know, it was one of those times where it's like, holy cow, you actually got a gem. And you actually, you know, you bought something for, I bought like, I don't know what, I showed a video on it, like 10 stones for 30, I think, bucks or 20 bucks. And that was part of it. And that alone is worth 10 times that. So, yeah. You know, Washitas today, soft is a whole different story, and hard does exist, but it's not the same. They're not from the same, they're literally not from the same mine that these natural Washitas were cut from or mined from originally. So there's a difference in quality, there's a difference in the way it cuts. It is not, you know, we're talking, I can't remember what a regular Washita grit is about. It's not really measured by grit anyways, but I think they say like around 400 to 600. This is well above 1,000, I can tell you that. And that should be proof in and of itself, but I have more than that. But anyways, I don't know, I'm going on and on about it now. I really dislike this interrupted pattern. I can feel the honeycomb underneath of the blade, and it like see how I'm like jagged. And again, I'm not sure about if I've ruined it with the diamonds, so I'm gonna get ahead and get off this stone because I don't know if I'm doing damage at this point or helping. Now I should have already got the wash ready to go, which I do. So it'll just take 2 seconds to go. Let me actually wipe off the knife again, because you try never to cross-contaminate grits. You know, the stuff that came off of this knife on that diamond, I would rather keep it off of the surface of the Washita. Okay, here comes the Washita in hand. God help me if I drop it. You can see I've got some stuff on it. If you go back to the first video of my stone, you know, the stone lot that I purchased, where I hadn't identified anything yet, hadn't degreased anything yet, you can see this was jet black, and it was, I mean, it was unidentifiable. And when it came out like this, the excitement was huge. Even for like Rough Rooster, Chris was excited over the phone for me to have gotten this, because it's just that rare, you know. It's one of those stones that there's only so many that exist, and as they dwindle away, you literally can't get them anymore. So, you know, you need to take that into consideration with the value. This is a stone that you may not ever see or be able to get again. Or maybe you will, but you're either going to have luck like I did, or you're going to pay for it. I'm going to be going on this stone for a while, so I'm going to go ahead and pause here, guys. I'll come back when I'm towards the end. I just want to show you how it wraps up. Okay? See you in a bit. Alright, guys, I'm done with this for now. I still got to strap it up a little better. Let me zoom in now. I don't have my tripod, so this is going to be a pain in the butt. Here, I'll put it down against this surface. Maybe that will help. Yeah, that does not look great. There, that's a little better. I'm not really going for like a mirror finish, excuse me, but you know, a decent one. Yeah, there you can kind of see the scratch pattern well there. If I can hold the phone still. Wow, I am very shaky. Where'd the knife go? Knife? Knife? There you are. Now, remember, this was a very, very, very used knife before I got it. Oh, a little bit of leather or something up there. Knife, there it is. How can I do this? I can't hold it steady enough, guys. I don't think this is gonna work, really. Let me put my elbow down on the... Let me zoom out a little. Okay. Here we go. This is very professional production. I just went to click the focus on the actual knife instead of the screen. Oh, God, this isn't working out. Alright, well, I mean, I'm gonna post this regard. Oh, wow, all of a sudden it just started working. What you see at the edge of the apex there is probably compound or leather, because I did throw it on the strop for about 2 seconds. Okay, well, I'll show you more later. Another time. I mean, that's the knife. Really well cleaned up. Looks really cool now. Much like the Buck 110. Maybe it's another version of it. I know it was a promotional thing for this particular company. So I don't have any idea what that is, but anyways. I think, you know, overall for a fairly quick job and only a couple stones, it wasn't, you know, and it's dropped for 1 minute or less. It came out pretty good. I just gotta maybe strop it a little more. Let's do a little test cut real quick. How can I do that? I can't. There's no way. I can't do that while I have no hands. Okay. Here's how we're gonna do this. The seltzer water is gonna hold the camera. I am gonna put this here. This is not gonna work. Yes, it is. This is such a bizarre thing to be doing. I can't really make it. It's so already dewy, and I can't do it at this angle. I just can't. Alright, talk to you later, guys. Hey, thanks as always for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing. And come back soon. Have a great day.